Hey guys, Ben Paynes here, and today we are back once again for another video at Teamsport Cardiff with a Monday night social. You know how these ones go. There is a 30-minute practice followed by a 15-minute grid started race. So in the practice we did start in 5th position with our lap time and really pushing our way up into 4th position round the first few corners. However, before we do get into the rest of the video, I would just like to say, please could you subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and like the video if you do enjoy it, as I really do appreciate the love and support that I have been getting on my recent videos. And I have bumped out quite a few. This is my second one, as I do get bumped out of the way there on the hairpin by the driver behind me, but I have been bumping out. This is the second video in a row this week, and I really do appreciate you guys, and I hope you enjoy and appreciate the effort that I put into the videos as well. And here, as we get into the video, rather than me rambling on, I do come across the line here with a 36.324 second lap, which isn't very good, and in comparison to the practice laps, my fastest lap was a 34.6 second lap. So I really felt off when I started this race. Once again, getting bumped wide on the hairpin. You can't quite see the driver behind me from my camera angle, but he was really trying to send it down the inside on that hairpin, and I was trying to keep as tight as possible to stop him from getting past and sort of releasing him to the drivers ahead that seemed to have completely raced along, and they're a bit of a blip now at this point on the camera. So I was a little bit upset with this to begin with. Come across the line now with a 36.289 and really struggling in the car. I don't know if this was a car that had been used in the practice session, but it really didn't feel very warm. I had a lot of understeer going into the hairpins, and I found that when I was using another car in the practice session, I really was able to turn in here and really clip the apex much like I was now on this corner compared to other laps that I'd done previously. But coming round the final few corners here, I really was trying to focus on, after a bad start, just trying to catch up to the guys ahead. You can see there straight away back down and cutting my fastest lap down by a whole second to a 35.356, which I was really happy with, trying to maintain a bit of momentum now at this point and get my head down, as I noticed the person behind me at this point had been pushed wide by another driver, and this caused me to have a little bit more room to sort of not relax but just settle into the race and try and get some quick lap times in that were akin to the ones I set in the practice / qualifying session. Coming around this last corner here, one of my weak points on the track in the last few sessions I've done, but I've really tried to practice getting a better exit out of the last couple of corners to try and get a quicker exit across the line, as I really found that due to being a little bit heavier, once more my favourite excuse, but I found the car was bogging down quite a bit and I was unable to actually get a lot of traction in the bottom section, as it is quite slippery compared to the top where it is all wooden flooring. So on this corner here, the big right-handed on the bottom, I was trying to stay as flat out as I could, trying to be really brave on the throttle, and you'll see that as we get later into the video I was able to actually go around on a couple of laps completely flat out compared to lifting and trying to control the car a bit more. I was able to find the grip in certain areas of the track where you move a little bit more to the left, and this allowed me to get a faster time through the bottom corner here. On the bottom left hand hairpin here, I really did realise that my left forearm really aches trying to yank the wheel down and try and get it in the correct direction to get the rotation of the car in the correct direction that I wanted, as the turn was really tight and it really does put a lot of pressure on you. And here we can see a driver going a little bit wide there, one of the back markers, and I was able to slip down the inside there pretty easily. However, as we look forward, I really wanted to put in some quick lap times to try and catch up to the two drivers that were squabbling up ahead. And here I really found, as I looked ahead, that every lap I was gaining on them bit by bit, and I really wanted to try and catch up and stay in contention with these two as they were fighting for podium positions. And I really did feel that I had the pace on the evening to finish on the podium in the session, as I was in fact the 5th fastest driver overall, despite me being a really big fat heavyweight, which I was really surprised about and really happy with, as the times are coming down a lot more at Cardiff as I get more accustomed to the track and I'm learning the lines a lot better and where to plant the throttle as opposed to going half throttle. So a lot of points here where I was able to gain a lot of time on the two drivers ahead, really struggling down this straight. You can see me jump in the car, trying to force it to have a little bit more momentum, as I really found that I was bogging down coming out of the hairpins. And you'll notice this going up the hairpin here on the left towards the ramp. I really was losing a lot of time, really trying to force my way up rather than sitting back and relaxing going up the ramp, because I just lost so much time from being sat down at my weight, and it was really difficult to actually get the traction to try and find the speed up the ramp. And again into the bottom left hand corner here, I was really struggling to get maximal speed down the straight, and this was a blessing and a curse. I felt that I had a little bit of a better run by being a little bit slower into the right hand corner, and this allowed me to keep my foot planted, as I mentioned earlier. But you can see the lap times in the top left at 34.758, my fastest, and my last lap being at 34.843. So not too shabby of a lap time so far. The distance to myself and the two cars ahead is shrinking bit by bit, as they are squabbling a little bit. I didn't know if they were working together or if they were fighting, but I was really trying to get as tight as possible to the apex. I saw they're actually clipping the apex where I was getting so close, but I really wanted to try and get as close to them as possible and try and challenge for third or maybe even second position if I was lucky. Coming across the line there again, being really consistent with a 34.800 and really urging the car up the ramp once more to try and get a little bit more pace. And at the top here, I really found that by going in the middle of the track rather than all the way to the left, much like at Bristol, I was able to cut the track length down a lot more compared to my competitors, and this I think allowed me to have a shorter distance around the track and therefore quicker times. And here once more you can see the driver ahead, we've really started to catch up to him here. I was starting to nail that first right hand corner before the complex section on the underside of the track. Once again at 34.705, so the lap times are coming down more and more. Once again urging the car up the ramp, something I really wanted to try and catch up to the guys ahead. You can see how much closer I've got in just a few laps, and I really had some strong self-belief that I could make an overtake and finish on the podium in this event. You can see there were a few back markers up ahead, and in my head at this point I thought that the drivers ahead that I was racing were gonna be slowed down by this driver, and it's actually the driver we overtook right at the beginning. We can see there the driver in third getting forced wide, and it's allowed me to really close up. I tried to follow them through on this corner here, but by tapping the back of them I lost all momentum up the ramp. You can see how much time I lost checking back to see if there was someone behind me catching up, but I was a little bit upset at that, as all the progress I'd made trying to catch up had just been lost immediately. Trying to find my way around the outside here, maybe squeezing the back marker a little bit too much, so I did feel a little bit bad about that, but I got my head down and tried to catch up once more to the driver in third place, as they did seem to gain a lot of time from that little incident, and obviously I had managed to catch up in only a few laps, so I was determined to try and do it again, not let my head slip, and really try and push forward and make an overtake if I could. I really was trying to minimise as much error as possible up the ramp. As I mentioned, I really felt I was at a big disadvantage by being quite heavy. The kart really wasn't even reaching its maximal speed, I don't think, getting up the ramp, so it's very difficult to try and catch up to the driver ahead, but I was determined and I was really happy with my pace on track, as I mentioned, I was the 5th fastest driver for the evening. This is including a lot of the lightweight and middleweight guys, which I was really surprised at. And as we come across the line here for this lap, this was in fact my fastest lap of the race, so able to get a really smooth exit out of the bottom hairpin, really trying to maximise as much speed as possible, carrying a wide line through the top section here to try and maintain as much speed as I could, stick into the middle of the track, try and minimise the distance, and really clipping the apexes while using good throttle control to ensure the brakes don't lock up. Once again, just turning in really tight, clipping the apex and trying to take the car as wide as possible. Here again, finding the grip in the middle of the track on the left, not hitting the barriers as that slows down time, hitting the brakes just at the right tempo there to try and get the car turned in for the last few corners, and we come across the line now of a 34.581, which I was extremely happy with, and even the driver there in front giving us a wave of encouragement to let us pass to try and catch up to the driver in third place, who once more we are starting to close up on after the incident earlier in the race, which led to us losing all the time that we had gained. And I was noticing that both the pair of us in third and fourth were actually catching up to the driver in second position as well, so I really felt that second or third position was still on the cards here at this point in the race. We are obviously about 2/3 of the way in, and Here we're just trying to maintain that fast pace that we had in the previous lap with 34.693, and at this point I really wanted to try and get down the inside of that back marker, because I didn't want to lose the person in third once again by being stuck behind the back markers, as that's happened to me on too many occasions now, as we've seen in previous videos. But coming down once more, just trying to find the grip out of the hairpin, looking back to check if there was the driver in 5th place still following me, but I couldn't see them at all. Getting a little bit too close to the barrier there on the entrance and clipping the corner, which did lead to me losing a little bit of time, but we do come across the line there with 35.044, and obviously that's due to the fact that I was compromised coming into the fast left-hand corner here, which we're just going through now. But really trying to set some consistent times and trying to gain into the slipstream of the car ahead, or the mental slipstream for me is when I'm behind a car, as I've mentioned many times before, it does make me drive a lot faster when I close up to drivers ahead of me, so I'm able to follow their lines and try and capitalise on any mistakes that they make. And I was really gaining a lot of time in this bottom complex section over the driver ahead, and there's a driver there in the wall, and I just tried to slingshot past them, and we come up the ramp once more, still in 4th place, and the driver in 3rd was stuck behind the back marker. They have a little bit of contact, and that leads to him going into the wall, and I did actually bump him, carrying a bit too much speed into that left-hand corner, but we did manage to get past reasonably unscathed, so we still have 2nd and 3rd in our sights here. The lap times are still maintaining at quite a low pace, and I realised that we were coming towards the end of the race at this point, so I really wanted to try and nail the bottom complex section to see how much time we're gaining through those corners, despite having lost quite a bit of time in terms of overall lap time from having that contact. Once again, introducing bunny hop tactics to try and get up the ramp. I still don't know if this actually works or if it's a complete placebo, but we do look funny doing it regardless, and we have a good time thinking that we'll go a lot faster at the ramp in my case. And I really saw once more there was another back marker ahead of the driver in 2nd place, and in my head I really thought that they were going to slow down the 2 drivers ahead, and this was going to allow me to try and make a pass. We can see here with 34.653, so the lap times once again really staying quite low. We haven't quite beat our fastest lap yet. The driver in 3rd dives down the inside of the back marker. Unfortunately I didn't carry enough speed up the ramp to try and make it through, and I didn't really want to send it down the inside here and try and completely take them out, so I was looking for a way past at this point. I was going to look for the inside there, but I didn't carry enough speed once again, accidentally bumping them a little bit on the exit, and trying to signal to the marshals to maybe do something to give me a bit of a hand. Going a little bit too hot into that corner, misjudging the brake section there, getting T-boned for my efforts, get a bit waved off. We could see here the marshal on the right absolutely captured at his best, yielding while all this is going on, and he looks like he's completely shocked. But we do move on regardless, and I tried to make up some of the time that I'd lost there, but unfortunately for me, I think that this was a little bit too late in the session for me to once more gain back the time that I'd gained on 2 occasions now in this race. And I was a little bit upset once again to see a hand gesture, a little bit of anger, but once more we do get a bit unlucky, and maybe I was a little bit aggressive in that situation, but it is what it is, and racing's racing. Unfortunately I do seem to come onto the bad end of the stick. It is only a social session, and I'm trying to get quick times in all honesty, so giving the marshal a few words there once again as we go past, and compromising my own line coming up the hairpins, going completely slow, shaking my head a little bit. But as I mentioned, I do think we've had a little bit of the rough end of the stick, but I'm sure the luck will come our way eventually. But 4th place is sort of where we sat for the rest of the races. I was unable to gain all that time back, a few seconds, a lap back on the 2 drivers ahead. You can see there, they're pretty much specks in the distance now at this point. So I was a little bit annoyed, but I was focusing myself. I tried to get out of the mentality of being hard done by and really try and push on these last few laps and try and put in as good a lap time as possible, as that's something I've really been trying to work on, not getting too hot-headed when I'm in the seat, as I do find that when this happens I lose a lot of momentum and I actually compromise myself a lot more than I would if I just stuck my head down and just tried to go for a better lap. And here once more just trying to get really tight to that bottom left hand corner, hitting the brakes just the perfect amount to stop me from locking up, trying to get really tight here to the right hand corner, try and keep my foot down the whole way through, swing into the complex corner. You can see how much time we've gained on the 2 drivers ahead, but unfortunately it was a little bit too late. And in terms of the BIKC, I have in fact swapped over to Cardiff. You can see here the standings on the right hand side. I have actually managed to muscle my way up into 3rd position already, and I hope to improve on this in the next few weeks by coming to Cardiff a little bit more. This does lead us to the end of the video, so I hope you have enjoyed, and please leave a like if you have, as I really do appreciate it. Subscribe for more in the future. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.